the suffering, the ridicule, the negativity, all the things, skepticism, being called names, and all this shit, we take the majority of that on in the beginning of our journey in business. It's the hardest in the beginning. And that's where that whole expression comes from. Do what's hard now, the rest of your life will be easy. Do what's easy now, the rest of your life will be hard. That's quite literally the truth. Been covering this general thread on this call today, which is that our choices and our decisions have a lot of impact on our future, right? So whenever we're building a business like this, we really want to make the next step an easy one, like an undeniable one, from a place of curiosity. Is like, just come find out what it's about. And we're selling the next step in a way that makes them realize that there's option A, option B. There's the decision to move forward. There's the decisions to stay the same. And I think that a lot of the time, we talked about this with, I think it was with you actually, Abby. We were talking about the 12-hour days and the burnout and like being on your feet. And then we briefly were talking about what does that actually mean if you keep working 12-hour days for the next 10 years? Like, you might be young right now. Your body can handle it. You know, you're going to recover quicker, but eventually your back starts to go out. Your knees are busted. You're gaining weight, or I don't know, all these things that potentially happen over the compounding in the future. And when you're able to kind of take somebody to that future of the direction and path that they're currently on, often it hits them right between the eyes, like, oh, you know what I mean? Like, people in construction, this happens all the time, is like, you're working hard in a construction job or physically demanding job, and you don't pause to question and say, well, where is this really leading to? What's the highest possible level I can reach doing this? And then there's like a foreman or some boss or somebody, who's got the best position, makes the most money in that particular thing. And then you kind of have to look at that person and go, well, do they have the life I want? Because maybe they're working crazy hours and they got divorced and their wife left them and they don't have no relationship with their kids because all they did was work and they were out of town 2 weeks on, 1 week off, whatever, whatever, whatever. And you're like, technically right now I'm all in on creating that future. Hello? Is that what you want? But people are so in the tunnel vision. Show up, do my job, 9 o'clock, clock in, clock out, get paid, do it again, do it again, do it again. And then they look up and they look in the mirror and they're like, holy shit, I went gray, man. Whoa, I'm 45. You had that job for 25 years and you never paused to be like, am I even going in the direction I want? I think if you guys can get really good at practicing this art, as you probably have noticed, there's an art to this. It's using the faculties of your imagination, sitting with yourself quietly, and kind of having these things of like future pacing in your head. You're like, okay, so if I eat McDonald's every single day for lunch at my job, what's that going to lead me to in 5 to 10 years with my body? Probably don't want that. Let's rewind. If I eat a healthy lunch, rice, chicken, I don't know, like a little salad or some veggies or something like that, or it could be a sandwich even, or I don't know, something else, and you make it at home and you know what's in it and whatever, and you eat every day for that for lunch, and you do your steps and you drink your water, in 10 years, like, great health, great posture, great. Okay, yeah, I want that. So I think sometimes, Ali, in from what I understand about your demographic with Abby, is if they are watching the webinar, that's powerful because you have an opportunity to speak into them for 30, 40 minutes. You might even want to try, if it's paid traffic with cold leads, to go 20 minutes. Go more direct. Go straight to the to the point. Hook them in the first couple of minutes emotionally. Make them really like invested in finding out what this is about and what's at stake. You know, the potential of what could best case scenario and the potential of doing nothing, worst case scenario, not just in their business investment decision, but worst case scenario in terms of staying on the path that they're currently on, which for most people, the path that you're currently on is compounding in the wrong direction you want to go. Meaning 10 years from now, you'll be more fat, more unhealthy, more broke, more in debt, more unhappy, more unfulfilled. Most people are currently subscribed to a compounding that is getting worse as the time goes by. That's most people, but they're unaware of that. They just have this blind optimism that it will get better, it will get better, it will get better. But in fact, the plan that they're executing every day cannot lead them to that place. Whereas for us, we take the majority of the pain, the suffering, the ridicule, the negativity, all the things, skepticism, being called names, and all this shit. We take the majority of that on in the beginning of our journey in business. It's the hardest in the beginning. For most people, the hardest years haven't happened yet. The hardest years are delayed. And that's where that whole expression comes from. Do what's hard now, the rest of your life will be easy. Do what's easy now, the rest of your life will be hard. That's quite literally the truth of what people are doing, right? So, Ali and Abby, I would suggest refilming your web class with a lot more of this sort of punchy truth reality into it, where maybe all you're really trying to do, instead of selling the whole business or the quad, is selling them on showing up to the call. You know what I mean? Like maybe it's not the full decision to go all in, but being like, you're not the type of person that isn't even going to show up to a call that can change everything for you. Are you? Think about how wild that is, that we waste time on this and we waste time on that and we waste our money on this and waste our money on that. And then when you finally come across an opportunity that can change everything, you're going to book a call and then not even show up and have a conversation with me and waste my time. You're not that kind of person, are you? You know, something along those lines that fits your personality and your demographic. So then they have this guilt feeling of like, well, I said I was going to show up. I booked this call. I better at least show up. And you know what I used to do um, is when I did in-person presentations, and I would invite them to come to my home party or my water demo or these things. One of the things I learned from an old school mentor of mine is that someone would be like, yeah, I'll come. And, you know, they were trying to basically get off the hook by saying they're going to come, and then they would no show because that was easier for them than say, no, thank you. I don't want to come. It was a people pleasing sort of mentality. And so when people say, yeah, I'll be there, I would be like, that's awesome. But just one thing, you're not the type of person that says you're going to come and then not show up and bail, right? And they're like, no, of course not. Like, great. See there. And oh, by the way, we actually need ice. Can you bring a bag of ice from the gas station for the meeting? Oh yeah, for sure. Got it. So now I hooked them two ways. They need to show up for the ice, which I didn't even need. I just throw it on the balcony and had like 10 bags of ice. That's funny. And then secondly, I wanted them to want to cancel. Like, I just want to bail so bad. But he confirmed with me, I'm not the type of person that does that. So fine, I'll show up. And all I needed is for them to show up. So I developed these types of things, right? And it was hilarious. They'd show up with the ice, they're all smiling, right? I brought the ice. I'd be like, thanks, buddy. Here's your seat. Open the sliding door and throw the ice on the thing. Just melt. It's hilarious. But anyways, these are the things we had to do to get the job done. And then often those people came to the meeting and guess what? They bought a machine because they saw the information and they're ready to buy something. So that's what I would recommend. I would also hit them with more 1-minute testimonials or follow up with them. If you're getting their email and they're on a list when they register for the web class, then really start to develop a follow-up sequence where you can email your list frequently to basically continue to nurture them, continue to give them wins, testimonials, success stories, even if they didn't show up to the web class or even if they ghosted you. Make it harder for them to get out of your circle of influence, right? I think sometimes what happens is we do the DMs lead generation, but we don't have many chats set up. We don't have really proper systems set up for continuous ongoing marketing to them and follow up with them. So definitely try that out. Also try like a VSL style 10-minute uh way for you to drive your traffic to. So I think that's what you guys need to do. Okay. You need to basically emotionally hook them more, give them more pros and cons and like opportunity cost of like what's really at stake here, and like just show up for yourself. You know what I mean? Like bet on yourself, see what's possible for yourself. Don't bail before you even have the full information, because that's never going to lead you out of the situation that you're in. So if you can unmute yourself now, let me know. And if you have any questions and whatnot, let me know.
Yeah, hi. Sorry about that. And I thank you for answering so thoroughly. I didn't catch everything that you said. So I'll have to go back and watch the replay. But the last piece that you just said, what was the 10-minute like video? What were you saying?
Yeah, so look into doing like a VSL style, which is basically like words on a screen instead of like a full web class, where basically somebody's reading along to the script and it's like it's engaging because it's like a sentence, a line, and then you know what I mean? It's a different style of marketing that works really well for cold traffic on like YouTube, for example, and it gets
Mm-hmm.
right to the point in 10 minutes. So you could even take your current script and your current 40-minute web class, if you have it written out, like generally what you guys talk about, or just transcribe one of your previous calls that you're using now. And then even
Mm-hmm.
leverage like ChatGPT and pop it in there and be like, I want to take this 40-minute web class and turn it into a 10-minute persuasive VSL script and give me the slide deck.
Mm.
And it would literally just reformat it for you and make it 10 minutes and make it super punchy, and then test that out.
Okay. Yeah, that makes
VSL
sense.
is called a video sales letter. So essentially, the reason it works really well is because you're engaging them to like watch, but what they're watching is the words being read out loud. So you're almost like reading it for them, and there's not a bunch of distractions and stuff, and it kind of has this hypnotic effect where you're like drawn into it. Um, it's something to try to consider. But yeah, anybody who ghosts you, keep sending them wins, testimonials. So like if you're targeting the nursing niche, and you're basically like have other nurses who are winning and making money and succeeding with the magic and your business and part of your team, they ghost you, boom, be like, have a little write up. Be like, this is Susie. She joined our community 6 months ago. She was skeptical, and then take their objections and weave it into their story. So it's like, yeah, they were skeptical. They didn't want to show up. They even ghosted the person for for a few days until eventually they watched it or they booked their call. And now they're making this much money per month. Now they hit this rank. So I'm just wondering, why not you? Why aren't you taking the next step? And then, again, until their inbox or their email inbox is full of wins where it's like undeniable. They're basically silly to not check it out at that point.
Yeah, for sure. The social proof.
Yeah. Just
Yeah,
send it to them directly. Like, instead of it being like the social proof generically, is like right to them.
yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I
Yeah,
don't
try
have
that
the
out and see
email
how it goes.
thing. I don't have the email marketing stuff set up. It's definitely something that's been on my list. I don't think Abby does have that set up yet either.
So
I
you have an ad
do,
that goes straight to DMs?
yeah. So my ads right now are just going to like my messenger of my business page, and I just have a conversation with them.
Yeah, so I think what you could do is use something like a mini chat, have them get into your inbox initially as the call to action from your ads, like send me a DM, send me a message, which is probably what you're doing now. And then they get into the
Hmm.
inbox, and then you have an automation that gives them some kind of value, like a lead magnet, a free video series, a training that gets directly sent to them in the DMs. And then when they click it, it asks them for their email address in exchange. And that's how you build your list.
Okay.
And then what you do with your list is that you have a newsletter style personal branding email that you send out once per week consistently. You never miss. Whatever day works for you, doesn't matter. Saturday morning, Sunday morning, doesn't matter when. But you create this very consistent email. And in this email, it is an update on what's going on in your world, any wins that you personally are having or anything you're excited about. So you're kind of building the relationship of like what's going on in Allie's world and what are you up to? And then also you're sprinkling in someone on my team hit this new level and they're so excited and they made this much money. And like if you're still on the fence and you haven't watched the web class, here it is. And then it's like PS, click the link to like, you know what I mean? So once a week you're keeping tabs with people, but your list is growing. So your effort to make the email is the same amount of effort every week, but the number of people receiving it continues to grow week after week after week. Eventually, thousands of people are receiving your email, and you're still writing the same email, and you're writing it to one person, but countless are receiving it. That's the real name of internet marketing is building an email list and then having the ability to follow up with all of them for a long period of time. Because then what ends up happening is that 3 months, 6 months, 12 months after they initially found your ad and they connected with you, now, life things happen, laid off from their job, some crazy thing is going on in their life, and you're just consistently every week showing up. But the email itself isn't salesy. It's like a mix of like almost like a gossip, not gossip, it's not the right word, but you know, like a magazine where you're like excited to read the editorials and there's these little sections and there's like maybe you have a favorite health recipe or you tried a new workout program or you are doing GPM method or something like exciting in your world. You sprinkle this stuff into the thing and they're always like, what's she up to? What's she up to? And then there's like 20% of it is kind of salesy with social proof testimonials, whatever. And then the call to action will always like, by the way, if you haven't done this yet, or maybe you're ready now, take the next step. Or you can say, I'm taking on 3 people this month to mentor. Spots are open. Click here to apply. Those kinds of call to actions. And you'd be amazed at how someone might be watching for a year and then they finally take the next step. And you're like, great. Thank you that I was kind of following up in this leverage way.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. We've been collecting emails for a while, so it sounds like it's time for us to do something with them.
Yeah, sign up for
Yeah.
something like a Flow Desk, or there's another one called Kit. They're all really user friendly and great. They have like newsletter templates and whatnot you can set up. And then once you have the templates set up, you drag and drop like pictures and links, and it's really, really simple to do. Uh, but yeah, make that a KPI in your business that you're excited about is growing your list
Okay,
and
cool.
communicating with your list.
Yeah. Yeah, that
Yeah,
makes a
so
ton
I
of
think I
sense.
think you're all on the right track with everything you're already doing, but I would just continue to test iterations, shorter web classes, talking about opportunity cost and really selling them on just showing up to the call so that they can get all of the information fully before they decide whether this is for them or not.
Right. And that's what we usually do. Like, I know I usually tell my best advice, and I always tell everybody this is just watch the entire web class, do the discovery process, like, get on the call with me. So that way you can literally make an educated decision. You've had all of the education and you can, like, fully understand and know, like, whether you're making the right choice or not. And I always tell people that. And then the other piece that I wanted to like piggyback on and ask you is that on my calendar booking, my Calendly link, I have a form on there and with a couple questions with like credit score and stuff. And then on the bottom, it's like, it's basically a question saying like, are you committed to showing up to this call? Like my cancellation policy is like 4 hours before, otherwise you're not going to be eligible for reschedule, like saying that and like putting that posture there to like hopefully eliminate people from, ghosting and like no showing and stuff like that. So, and I feel like it still kind of happens every now and then.
Yeah.
So I don't know, what should I keep that on there? Should I maybe change the wording?
I mean, it's all about testing and iterating for sure, and it's all about volume. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
there definitely needs to be a emphasis on not wasting time, but there also needs to be like it's just kind of part of the game and then
Hmm.
giving people the benefit of the doubt. Like sometimes it's kids, like they actually meant to show up and then the kids puked on them 5 minutes before the call and then
Yeah.
they don't care to like fill you in because they don't even know you. They're like, this is my kid. I got to deal with it. They missed the
Yeah.
call. So there's a level of like benefit of the doubt that we also want to have, but we also want to have a strong position of like, look, if you missed the call once, reschedule or, let me know somehow, and then I'll give you another chance. But if you just ghost, ignore me, whatever, it's like you're done, you're out, like you lost your opportunity. So just finding a way to, I guess, be mindful that life does happen to people.
Yeah.
It's not an excuse for them to waste your time, but yeah, sometimes it's a legit thing that happened,
For sure, for sure. Yeah, I've had both instances where people like have literally had things happen and maybe they hop on like a few minutes later, just forgot and have said something, or it's like, okay, they literally ghosted me and whatever. And at that point I just move on most of the time.
Hmm.
Because
That's
I
where the
just
email follow up will be powerful because
okay.
when you have the energy expenditure on following up and kind of being ghosted, um, then you feel kind of depleted from that. But when you send an email to a list of a lot of people and you kind of don't know who's receiving it and who isn't, except for the open
Yeah.
rate, it's just a lot more empowering. You feel more in power of your business. So that's
Hmm.
why I think that will really shift the energy for you overall by you adding that like weekly email.
All right. That sounds
Yeah,
good. And I know I've got my work cut out for me. We know what we need to do. Abby too. I'm sure Abby's going to be saying like this is something we both need to do.
perfect. Do it
We'll
up and then keep
support
me
each
posted
other.
how that goes.